and gentlemen, for tuning in to the open beta of Saturday Night Showdown. This is our third night and our last time that we're in our testing phase. Just like the last couple of weeks, I have with me from d20crit.com, Will. What's going on, Will?
You know what? It's July 4th weekend, and I thought I saw some fireworks last night, but I tell you, tonight, it's going to be a whole new display going on. It's going to be exciting. I can't wait.
Oh, yeah, certainly excited. We have David Troy, a.k.a. Brillaan, coming back after 2 wins, one against Rowe, one against Tarkonis. You know, a really tough win against Rowe, I think. And Tarkonis, you know, learning his stuff, but, you know, he did have a pretty solid victory last week. But now he's gonna have his match. You know, this will prove whether or not he can be the champion of Saturday Night Showdown, our first champion, as he's going to be going against Robert A. Wing, aka ZenStyle.
I can't wait. This is quite the throwdown, and I wonder what's going through. David's mind at this point. You know, it's quite a bit of hype leading up to this for him. You know, he had an interesting first round, a pretty solid second round, but with Robert coming in, you know, to face to get his challenger title, or anything can happen now.
Exactly, and you know, the interesting thing is David did decide to kind of come back this week with the same decks. Maybe not like exactly the same decks, but the same classes. You know, he's coming with his Druid, his Paladin, and his Shaman deck. So he's feeling pretty confident in that setup, especially considering last week, you know, we didn't really see the Paladin or the Druid. So,
yep, I think he's very confident with that. I mean, his Shaman dominated all 3 games last week, so I bet we're going to see that starting off.
Mm-hmm.
That's my money.
And then Robert, he's going to go ahead and he's going to come in with his Druid, his Warrior, and his Rogue deck. So, you know, I think he probably watched a little bit of last week and the week before to kind of prepare. Mm-hmm. But, you know, it's definitely going to be an exciting night as we get to see these two guys kind of battle it out for the victory.
I'm excited, man. Let's make this happen.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to go ahead and let them know that we're good to start, and then we'll be good. So you really think he's going to go ahead and start with his Paladin again? I mean, his Shaman again?
I'm going to put money on that. Not too much, 50 cents or a beer or something. But yeah.
I'll take that.
That's what I'm thinking. All right.
You know, BlizzCon. We're kind of headed to BlizzCon with World of Podcasts. So I will take that bet.
All right. This could be an expensive BlizzCon trip for me.
or for me as well. Remember that. Oh man, this is going to be exciting. So I've let them know to kind of get us started. We're going to go ahead. We're going to start with the challenger's point of view. And we're going to start with, that means we're going to be starting with ZenStyle. It looks as though he's going to go ahead and start with his Druid. Brillaan, we won't be able to see until we actually get into the game.
Oh, it's like this pressure now, isn't it? What's it going to be? Do I win a beer or do I lose a beer? Oh, no. I owe you a beer.
You owe me a beer? Oh, man, we don't even know that on this side yet.
Oh, I'm in the future. At least I know that much.
Exactly. So it's Druid versus Druid. Now, in week 1, Brillaan had a lot of luck against Rowe's Druid, as he was able to defeat him to kind of pick up the victory in a tough fought, close matchup.
Yes. Yeah, it really was that was an interesting fight. I'm very certain that Robert, you know, opening with that Druid, I think he knows where he's going with this. He knows what to perhaps expect after seeing that match if he did see it. And so it's really down to what Brill can pull out.
Mm-hmm. And Brillaan pulling out his favorite first turn attack. He's bringing out the Leper Gnome. No surprise there.
I'm pretty sure we're going to be dealing with that straight away. Just because, you know, again, it's one of those things that you learn, and Zen knows this, is that you just deal with those minions ASAP and then bring it.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, he comes in with a first round Keeper of the Grove with the Innervate and the coin and just kind of gets rid of the Leper Gnome. He knows it's going to deal 2 damage to him. At some point, he gets rid of it quick.
Just soak it up, yeah.
And here we go, Brillaan going with the Wild Growth, kind of looking to the future, you know, getting ready to, you know, get like a mana lead on, you know, another Druid deck that's going to be pretty close in terms of mana at this point.
Yeah, and I think when you're facing Druid on Druid, you don't want to be holding onto that card. Some people hold onto that card until the 10th turn to get themselves a free card. You don't want to be messing around with that when you're doing Druid on Druid at all, because you're going to hit hard, you're going to hit fast, you got to be dealing with it really quick.
Mm-hmm. And there's a second wild growth, actually. So we're really looking at him having plenty of mana, ahead of the curve. I think those 2 wild growths really balance out the Innervate that Robert was able to get early on.
Yep, and in the long run, it's a little bit more for the long game, actually, just because it's permanent mana versus 1-turn mana. So at that point, I think the advantage for the long game is in Brillaan's hands.
Yeah, especially if we look at it right now, where the Keeper of the Grove is still out there. He hasn't done too much damage, and looks like the swipe's gonna go ahead and take him out of the game. Deal a little bit of damage to that Harvest Golem and to Zen directly.
Yeah, it's feeling pretty balanced right now in terms of where we're going. I mean, there's no way at this stage of the game I would dare make a call on who's going to pull through.
Oh, not at all. I mean, if you kind of take a look at it, they're both kind of going to the face with their heroic ability. They're similar cards in the hand in terms of just card number, and just a Harvest Golem sitting out for Robert, for ZenStyle.
Yeah, and it's staying there lurking. In the future, I can tell you, that's still lurking around. So we shall see. We shall see when it gets dealt with, if it gets dealt with, and if it's just going to be a bit of a face smash on this round.
Now, it's really interesting. We get the Boulder Fist Ogre real quick because of those the mana growth, wild growth. So now it's, if we're looking just at what's on the board, that Boulder Fist Ogre is dangerous.
What would you do with this right now? If this was you, how would you deal with it?
In terms of on a ZenStyle or on Brillaan side?
If you're a ZenStyle, would you be dealing with that Boulder Fist right now, or would you be like, you know what, I'm just going to keep smacking in the face?
I would probably. I'm more of an aggressive player, so I would go after him because it's kind of like he's going to possibly lose 2 heroes. I mean, 2 minions for that, and make him come to you, kind of a thing. Now, with Ragnaros coming out, this is the first time we've seen a legendary in Saturday Night Showdown, so I think it's pretty exciting. That 8 damage kind of going wherever is a little rough with what Robert had on the board. It did hit the Harvest Golem, but then again, it just brought the little minion out. And
but what we can see there is the big game hunter. That's where it's nice to have in the card in the hand.
And
deal with that.
He did use that big game hunter, so I mean that was kind of a given at this point, because you don't want Ragnaros hanging around. He'd be getting rid of your Divine Shield. It could hit you for 8 damage. That's a large amount of damage you don't want to have to deal with.
Yeah, and that was just a simple logical move at that point.
Now I'm kind of curious what Brillaan's going to kind of do to kind of pull control back. I mean, if we kind of take a look at his deck, he has Faceless Manipulator. We don't know what he has in hands. Force of Nature. He can pretty much play anything he has. And he has Cenarius as another kind of legendary in his hand. So I think he's going to go ahead and he's going to take out that big game hunter. Is what I would do.
I think so. I think that's a sensible thing to do too.
Yeah, but we're not quite sure yet. He's still thinking. He let us know he's thinking what to do. So he gets the Keeper of the Grove, dealing 2 damage directly to the big game hunter. I think that was a great idea. Get that damage off the board. See what else he's gonna do. His timer's coming up. I mean,
decisions right now, and I think that's the sensible move to be.
Yeah, deal the 1 damage, get rid of the Divine Shield, and draw the card. Don't want to fall down and not have enough, and not enough cards to win the game. So he's just clearing that board out. He used his heroic ability. Kind of a slip up, but he didn't attack with it. He could have at least attacked to the face and not had to worry about any taunt or anything. But he kind of gave that up.
Yeah, but here we're in a dangerous situation, because even though Brillaan's got that mana advantage, there's nothing showing for it at this point. The damage all seems to be on ZenStyle's side right now. So let's see what he can pull out.
Let's see what he's going to play here. Cenarius is coming out.
Oh, beautiful.
That's
Beautiful.
nice. That's going to, at least hold the line for this next
Bit of
turn.
mitigation. Yeah, bit of mitigation there. Got two little tanks up there in the forms of Treant. I think that is it's the only move he could really do. I'm just looking at Brillaan's hand here, which nobody else can see, and that was the best option for sure.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So we're going to get charged in the cat form on that Druid and Savage Roar. So he's going to take out both of the Treants and deal fatal damage there with
brutal.
the Panther and the Azure Dragon. So that's one up for ZenStyle now. What do you think? We're going to see a Shaman come out, or are we going to see the Paladin come out?
Yeah, well, if I was Brillaan right now, I would be pulling out that Shaman. I'd be like, I want to claw back a game. He's very secure with his Shaman. We've seen him play it effectively and very powerfully last week.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I would want to be getting one game back because you don't want to have it all resting just on the Shaman for the end because it's 3 options against 1 at that point.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yep. So we're gonna see kind of what's going on here. Zen is waiting for him to go on. Man, that was a good matchup. It looked like Brillaan was up early on, and then Zen just kind of was there. Like you said, the Innervate was kind of early game, but it led him to that victory.
Yeah, and it's a tough call. Do you want empty mana crystal or that Innovate? It just shows how powerful the Innovate can be, even though it might not be lasting more than a round. That initial bump up, it paid off. Mm-hmm. But it was neck and neck. They were both 22 points HP. For at one point it was even Stevens. I didn't want to call it, but towards the end there, Zen showed no mercy at all. It was brutal.
Mm-hmm. He was able to, buff those minions and, kind of, hit them and just take care of them. It was a good move, taking out the Treant with personal damage. Brillaan is pulling out his Paladin deck here, so we have yet to see him play his Paladin, if I remember right.
I think this is the first time, which is to be interesting. Is it a time to experiment? We'll find out.
Mm-hmm. Now, his Paladin deck, I believe it's kind of like an aggro Paladin. He has a lot of charge in there. Kind of his Leper Gnome.
Yep.
It's I've been kind of mulling over the numbers, and I've kind of come up with we've come up with our spreadsheets, and one of the things I'm looking at is kind of how often someone puts a card in their deck. And for the Leper Gnome, it's 100% of the time, and that what that basically means is every single one of his decks that he's played has had 2 of them in it.
Yeah, he does. He does rather enjoy that.
Mm-hmm. And so, he pulled it out. The Argent Squire as well. He has in his deck pretty often, so he's gonna have that Argent Squire out in the first round. And I would be very surprised if he doesn't pull out the Leper Gnome in the first as well. Mm-hmm. Man, we're getting a little bit of lag from Brillaan, so I'm gonna kick it over to Zen. We might jump a little forward with what's going on. Zen did take 4 damage kind of in that jump, so we're going to kind of stick on his point of view from here on out. So, he has a 4 damage from the Argent Squire. He was able to kind of get in there and hit him hard. He has a Leper Gnome on the board. So if that Argent Squire isn't dealt with this turn, then Zen's going to see at least 6 damage coming at him next turn. And he's going to take the 4 or 3 with once you figure the shield is out, and then heal himself back up this turn. So it's he used up his mana, he used up his coin, and now he's facing what's going on.
Well, and this is the thing. So now he's in this interesting situation where he's still facing the Leper Gnome, and it's a decision on. We've talked about this before. We have to deal with that because for every round we don't deal with it, it's always going to be 2 more damage that comes at you or a minion. Mm-hmm. So, which is why it's so powerful, and I think why Brillaan loves it and puts it out there.
Yep. So you're looking at it's going to be 2 damage this turn. If he gets killed next turn, that's still 2 more damage. That's 4 damage minimum out of that Leper Gnome, and with the boar coming on out, that's at least 1 damage kind of going right at him. It's an aggro deck. That's what he's going to do. Just keep coming at him as quick as he can.
Yeah.
So.
And interesting. So here we see Cenarius popping his head up and dealing with that leper gnome.
Yep. Oh, the Keeper of the Grove, yeah.
Keeper of the Grove, sorry, yep. Coming out and dealing with that leper gnome, which it's like I'm not gonna have another 2 coming at me anymore. I'm gonna deal with it now. It will just be 2, and it's sorted, it's dealt with, and that's definitely the best thing to do.
Yep. He's gonna deal 3 damage straight to the Keeper of the Grove, get him off the board. Who does he pick to kill him? Either way, it doesn't, technically matter.
Doesn't technically matter. If it was me, just from an aesthetic point of view, I would be using my little pawn. That's what I like about the paladins. You get this essentially a free minion on the board every turn. So why not use it, me?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, I'd do the exact opposite because as a paladin, I'd want the I wouldn't want a boar in front of me. They're not going to.
So you got a bit of RP going on when you play your Husson.
Of course, that's what it's all about, isn't it? I mean, I'm not that good that I can't do something. I have to do something else in my head, Oh man,
love it.
So we got the Argent Commander coming out, charging. I think he's going to go right for the Azure Drake. Get that off the board, and then ping him again for that 1 damage.
It's chipping away, I tell you. It's chipping away, and it's effective. It's effective. Again, aggro deck, that's what it's about.
And, I mean, you're looking at, he did heal 1. He healed 8 damage early on, where he technically had 1 health that went to waste. I'm curious if that's going to mean something in this match. If he comes down to losing by 1 health, he might kick himself in the butt.
Absolutely. So now we're in an interesting situation. I can't see Brillaan's hand right now. Interested to see what he pulls out. One of his minions and the True Silver Champion, which is nice. With the True Silver Champion, that means we can deal with the minion, and we're going to keep ourselves healthy. The one thing that kind of is awkward about the True Silver is that it heals you before you hit, so he's still going to take 2 damage off that. Yep.
So he'll take a little bit of damage, but he'll be able to get rid of it, and that's 4 damage. That's a decent amount. To get rid of whatever kind of is in front of you at the time.
Yep.
You do take damage in retaliation, but the healing offsets it somewhat. Now dealing with this bear, the bear druid out there, if there's nothing to scoff at. I mean, at this point, what does he have that could actually deal with it, quickly? I'm kind of
well, there's this. I'm just looking at his favorite little card coming out again.
Yeah, the leper gnome. He's gonna. That's 2 damage. Let's see what he's gonna do with the deal to. So consecrate to get him down, and then he's gonna hit him with the True Silver Champion to finish him off.
He's keeping himself in a good place here. This is he's still got a little bit more health, and he's got 2 cards on the board. Oh, but of course, looking at this, ZenStyle has a swipe, which means he can lay damage across everyone. So we've got to watch out for that.
Yep, we have a swipe and the Chilling Yeti coming out. Very effective turn, I think. It's quick. He was ready for that. The Yeti being one of the best cards, I think, in the game. 4/5 for relatively cheap mana.
If I remember from our first match, in the first game where we had Brillaan was playing, the Chillwind Yeti really was the sort of the turning of the tide in all of the games when we were playing against Ro. That would come out, and it seemed to be the person who played their Chillwind. There was some serious domination going on, so it's a dangerous card to have out. And now with that, we've got a stealth, and that stealth becomes awkward. You can't deal with it until it reveals itself, unless we've got an AOE, of which we can tell that there isn't.
Yeah, and I think that's why he's going to try and defend his Chillwind Yeti. I think what we'll see is, kind of my prediction, we're going to see a buff to the stealth character. Get him a little stronger, and then take out the Druid of the Claw, right?
Yes, I believe it is, yes.
So I think we're going to see something along those lines, because he's got to deal now with the Druid of the Claw, and then be ready for the Chillwind Yeti the next turn.
Oh, beautiful, beautiful moves going on here. What I'm looking at here, looking at ZenStyle's hand, we see this Innovate in his hand, and he's at 2 of 9 mana. So that really means that next turn, if he doesn't use it here, next turn he's actually got 12 mana points to play with, because he can whittle down his hand and play out more. So it again, it's very powerful end game. It's not something to scoff at. If you still got Innovate in your hand, it can be powerful to be playing lots of big cards at once towards the very end.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think of the use of the Avenging Wrath there? Just to whittle down the Druid a little bit to be able to take him out.
I thought, aesthetically, it looked gorgeous. It was really one of the only options I think he had, but that Chillwind Yeti is still going strong. Mm-hmm. And again, just showing how dangerous it is.
Yeah, and honestly, Brillaan doesn't have much to really deal with two big creatures on the board, especially one with Divine Shield. It's going to be a kind of a tough battle here, I think, with what's going on. I'm trying to think what he could do to kind of save himself at this point.
Not an awful lot. He can only hope. I mean, it was very nice that he can play a card to get a card draw. And at that point, it's all a gamble at this point. It's a tough hand. Just looking at what ZenStyle's got, it feels like he's got it in the bag, and we're going to see something happen here, it's going to be brutal. Mm-hmm. And I think at this point we know exactly where it's going, but there's no mercy going on here.
None at all. He's going to, another charge out there on the board. Treants, he's going to finish this off pretty well.
Absolutely.
So that puts Robert up, or ZenStyle up 2-0. What are your predictions, Shaman versus this awesome Druid deck? Honestly,
yeah, it's frightening. I just looking at the pictures of them. Nobody can actually see them right now, but we can see both David and Robert, and the calm that is on Robert's face right now is frightening. If David looks across at his Skype and sees this, how calm that Robert is right now, I'd be wiping my brow and pulling out the scotch.
Mm-hmm. Oh, well, let's go ahead and we'll give people kind of a little hint at what you're seeing. The calm and there's a little bit of frustration on Brillaan. He's like thinking, what is he going to do? The one thing I would say is he's going to pull out his favorite card here with mm-hmm. the Lightning Storm, and it's going to deal with, I think, some of the problem he's had in the last two matches, just dealing with the large number of creatures that Robert's been throwing out.
Mm.
So,
just looking at it here, interesting. So, Robert's going second, so he gets the extra mana advantage, mm-hmm. And he's immediately got the legendary in his hand to play from that. So we are going to be in a very interesting game right now.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And he pulls the Wild Growth. So, he's just going to, I think, Wild Growth as much as he can to start off this matchup. And, turn one Leopardome as always. Like, it's almost like a guarantee for Brillaan at this point. He always manages to have that in hand.
I have to say that for the day that I play Brillaan, I myself will make sure that I know how to deal with that on turn one.
Silence it. No.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So he brings out his Amani Berserker, which me and David were talking before. He's like, I actually went back and listened and watched it. And he's like, you guys were so funny when he attacked the Amani Berserker to make him stronger. And there was almost no reason for it. He's like, you guys were just like, what did he do? I don't think we're going to see that here. But,
no.
Brillaan, look at this. He's got some Feral Spirits out on the board. A Leopardome. That Leopardome's protected for at least another turn. I think he's putting himself in a strong starting position here.
Oh, but we do have the Keeper of the Grove in the hand. Mm-hmm. And if I was then, I'd be dealing with that Leopardome straight away.
Yep, and that's what he does.
Yeah.
That Keeper of the Grove has been after the Leopardome all night, guys.
It's literally in the crosshairs. It's and it's the thing to do. We've said this before. We'll say it again. If you're facing that Leopardome, you've got to deal with it straight away. And if there's one thing that Robert knows his stuff. So
yep, we got the loot order out now. So when he dies, we're gonna see some card draw on Brillaan's spot, which will be nice, give him more options. And Brillaan's gonna start dealing with with all these minions out right away.
Yeah, and Zen. I don't want to speak too far ahead, but Zen just pulled out the Force of Nature. Did you see? Yeah, he just drew that, which is a powerful card to have at this point. He hasn't played it yet because he can't, but that is one way to be dealing. On turn 6, how to deal with everything with that Force of Nature. Yep. Take everything down.
Yeah, so I think what we're going to see is we're going to see Loot Hoarder go after the Golem, take him out, draw the card, and Amani right to the face.
Yes, absolutely.
Because this will probably be the last turn that Amani Berserker is out, because ZenStyle really can't let him stick around any longer.
Right, you have to deal with it. You absolutely can't mess around with that. But the advantage of dealing with the Golem, he's going to get a free card out of it, even though he loses the card. So it's controlling, and we're just in a position now. Yeah.
So he made the correct move that I tend to mess up all the time. I tend to attack and then put out my Frostwolf Warlord. He actually did it right, where he put it out and then attacked.
And get your buffs.
Yeah. Yep. Get your buffs and then attack. I always do it backwards just because I don't pay enough attention sometimes.
It's the same thing. I do that with the lock. With the lock, I forget to tap early on, even though I know I'm going to do it later on. It's like, well, I might have just got a card if I tap now, and I know how to do it. So
it's so funny because I'm so used to playing Magic the Gathering. Faceless Manipulator. Wow, that was just fun to watch. He put out the Faceless Manipulator. Yeah. Now he has the Leper Gnome with 2 damage, no healing in the hand of ZenStyle. So I think the Shaman has got it. He's going to concede.
Well, look at that. It's our first person to concede. How about that?
Wow.
Not even giving David the satisfaction, huh?
Yeah, you know something? You might call it satisfaction. I like when people concede, because it's like, I don't know. It's like, yes, I won, and I won it before the game was over.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny. I play Warlock a lot, so I will. If I know I'm going to lose, if I don't concede, it's because I can kill myself. So I'll pull out a card that does me damage and life tap if I'm that close to it.
Yes, I've actually played a lot of Warlock myself. My first second legendary was Jiraxis, so I'm like, obviously I'm supposed to play Warlock.
Oh, I don't have that yet. I'm very jealous. Fun card.
So that was great. So now we're 2-1 in favor of ZenStyle. We have a Warrior deck coming out now, and Dave's just gotta hold on. If we go to 5 games, I will be happy.
My goodness me. Well, I feel like I should get some strawberries and cream with it being a Wimbledon final weekend. The 2-1. This is sounding like an epic battle, and I'm loving it. Oh, and look at this Leper Gnome, turn 1.
Yep, man. I feel like we were in the middle of telling a story, and then the game ended. Now I don't remember what to go back to.
Yeah, well, these guys aren't messing around. That's the thing. It's all about punching in the face and getting on with it. Now, what do you think about this warrior build of Zen's? So you've had a look at the cards ahead of time. Do you play much warrior?
Yes, I play actually, I've been playing it for a while. It's just a very charge-heavy warrior deck where everything is charge. It's charge or it's weapons. So it's a little different than what I play. He plays. I don't know. Like, I don't even know how to say it. It's like would this be like a control warrior?
It feels like it is because you're literally be able to with the charge you're able to control what is on the board at any given time.
Yeah, but he doesn't actually have. Does he? Unless I'm looking at the wrong deck, he doesn't have a lot of charge in there in comparison to like mine. And literally has like.
Are you charge all over?
All over, yeah. Like Reckless. What's his name? Well, anything pretty much. If it said charge in, I put it in there. So I'm like trying to think of my deck, and it's a little tough. But so he definitely has the charge in there. But he has like Sylvanas. He can pull Ragnaros, Alexstrasza, Gramash. So he has a Baron. It's actually a very heavy legendary deck.
Yeah, heavy hitting deck. A lot of gold cards. Yeah. Now, one thing we can tell by Robert is he's quite the player with all of these gold cards pulling out. It's quite gorgeous to look at.
We got the Chillwind Yeti here. We always talk about how happy we are happy somebody would be when he's out. We got a Whirlwind. You know, let's go ahead and he gets to draw. You know, I love that. You know, you deal damage to yourself and you get to draw. That's like, it almost feels Warlock to me.
It does. It has this. It has this masochistic feel. It's fantastic. Another legendary though, we can see right there sitting in the hand, and you know, come turn 8, that'll be out and it'll be brutal.
And yeah, Grommash. That's one of the legendaries I don't have yet that I'm really looking forward to getting and putting in, because in a charge deck he fits perfect. But you know, he definitely has the ability to deal with the decent number of legendaries with the shaman. You know, I don't think he's too worried about too many legendaries coming out there. You know, with Hex being viable and turning, you know, someone like Grommash into a 1/1 toad.
Now that was a nice play there by Brillaan. You know, giving the 1/1 buff to this character that when he takes damage is just going to be increasing his damage. So you know, by increasing that health pool, it's a fun character to have out there, and it has to be dealt with.
Yep.
At this point.
Now with a little bit more health, he's able to kind of just hang around just a little longer.
Yep. And that will just, if nothing else, will mitigate the damage coming to his hero. So what do you make of the Armor Smith? I've always found that an interesting card. I find it almost slightly awkward to deal with at times.
Yeah, because you're like, should I take him out or shouldn't I? You're like, is it really worth it? I mean, anything on the board at this point for Brillaan is damage, and he needs to take care of it quick. So we'll kind of see what he does. He brings out his 2 feral spirits, so you know those will deal with that Armor Smith pretty well, and Argent Squire. So you know he doesn't have too much to worry about. The way he has his like frontline set up and with the creatures makes me think that he wants to bloodlust sometime in the near future.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to go that direction. And I think that's why we're seeing him dealing with everything very quickly. And, you know, because the next turn, again, we've got this legendary card which you can be placing on the board, which is just incredibly powerful. So it's an interesting place to be in here. And again, we're seeing here the Armor Smith. Would you be taking out the Armor Smith at this point, or what would you be doing?
Yeah, if you think about it, every deck can only do a finite amount of damage, and with armor, which I still think is a little broken, being able to go above and beyond your health, I would take care of it pretty quickly.
Yeah.
However, I probably wouldn't use a hex on it. But that being said, I know what's in Robert's hand that I would use my hex on.
Right, exactly. And so he's going to probably roll his eyes now and think, oh, heck. If only.
I mean, the other thing, too, could be he might have another hex in his hand, so he feels confident using it.
True. Very true.
And the board's going to get cleared up just a wee bit here. You know, for Zen, he's kind of clearing them out.
This is a scary situation, though, that Brillaan's facing down, because he's immediately looking at, 12 points of damage coming to his face. So what's he going to do? Oh, beautiful. Look at that. Faceless manipulator.
Nice. We didn't even get to see it.
Oh, I called it. Oh my gosh. I do apologize. I'm ahead of time again. I thought we was on time for a minute there.
No, you were like split second. But no, yeah, like you said, faceless manipulator. Now we have dual Grommash Hell Screams, kind of, face to face, as you might say. And the Leper Gnome.
Oh, interesting. What happened there? So with his healing card, it actually took the buff off
Grommash.
Yep.
Yep. So it made Grommash a wee bit weaker. Got a well played. What?
Oh, that's just that took a very nasty turn, and I just learned something there about if I have that card in my hand on a shaman deck. As make sure I don't have that healing card out, healing totem out, because that I think that almost might have caused some problems along the way.
Yeah, because Grommash was dealt with a little bit easier. Although he just dealt damage and dealt with him anyways. He basically, I don't think it hurt so much as you would think. Getting the heal in there because he just attacked him, gave him it back, and then dealt with it. Oh man, Ragnarok's coming out.
Oh, here we go. Oh,
so I can just imagine what's gonna happen here. So Ragnaros is gonna kill Sylvanas, and then he's gonna use Sylvanas and get Ragnaros. Oh no! Oh, I almost called it.
I almost called it, but
I was like, man, that would have been something. So Grommash is gonna attack. What is it?
So brutal.
The melee
so brutal. I can't even look.
Oh man. So Grommash makes it out, and Brillaan has nothing on his side.
And Zen just pulls out
Baron
another. Yeah, Baron's here.
Man. Wow, we're getting close to the end of this match. As we can see the reaction on the faces of our competitors. We're just kind of waiting for it to kind of head on over.
And look at that. And the interesting thing is, David is like, you know what? Let's just bring it on. Let's just make it happen. Oh, beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that.
So we'll kind of let everybody kind of see the end of this, but now we have
we all know where it's going.
We know where it's going when a faceless manipulator comes out and copies your own Grommash screen. Okay, so hopefully they can hear us now. I think they've probably been able to hear us for just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and bring them up and kind of talk to them about this match. Now, David, you there?
I am.
So, David, what are your thoughts about this matchup?
What a joy it was actually playing with Robert. It was like great seeing some of the plays that he put out there, and it's just a lot of fun. Like, it's been fun these last 3 weeks playing, but if I'm gonna go down, I want to go down to the best, and that was actually a lot of fun.
Yeah. So I noticed you both came out with your druid. What made you come out with your druid first, opposed to like your shaman like last week?
Well, I figured my shaman was pretty much like there wasn't a whole lot mysterious about my shaman deck at this point, so I wanted to at least throw something out there, that I hadn't really gotten a chance to use all of its capabilities. So for my druid, I thought it was a pretty solid deck, but Robert's was better and he played it better. It was really good, the one I was just sort of sad to see my Paladin deck kind of not get to do what it was supposed to do, because that's a very fast deck, but pretty much all my charge minions never got to get out there really. So it was, I'm glad my Shaman got one win for me though.
Did you think you had a good chance there when you pulled out that faceless manipulator towards the end, and you thought, oh, here we go. I'm gonna bring it to you, and copy his Grommash. What was going through your head at that particular point? Were you feeling pretty confident in it? Because it kind of it was going well, and then it all went downhill. When from there, it was a great move,
I was feeling better. Honestly, in the game with the Paladin, I was feeling more comfortable when I had that Tiger on the board, and I had the buff that adds 4/4 and then doubles the minion, which I could have gotten away with. I think I might have won that game if the taunt hadn't been played. When Grommash went out, I wasn't feeling good. Rag, I thought might have been able to pull me out of it, but then that brawl, didn't go well at all.
No.
Oh, that was brutal, wasn't it? Brutal.
Yeah, we were talking about it during the matches. We had 2 firsts for Saturday Night Showdown. We had our first legendary actually come out when you played Ragnaros, and then and then Robert just like threw it. He's like, Grommash is there, Baron Geddon's in the hand, like it was crazy. And then you, obviously pulling him. Now you went with your Paladin second, and then your Shaman. Do you kind of wish you went the other way, Shaman then Paladin maybe, or?
Well, not really, because it ended up the Shaman had to do the job anyway, so I don't think that necessarily the Paladin. It's possible that I might have been able to take him in the first match, but it's something that you can't go back and try to rethink your decisions. That was that kind of mixing things up had worked for me the last couple of weeks. So I just want to say congratulations to Robert. It was an honor to play with you.
Awesome. Now, Robert, kind of what are your thoughts on the matchup? Like, any times you felt like you were behind and you were able to come ahead, anything like that?
Yeah, honestly, the Paladin, I had a really hard decision early on because I drew an Innervate, and I didn't really want to Innervate into Healing Touch because I really like to save the Innervates for something a little bit fancier. But he'd already put, like 8 points of damage on me so early that I just, based on what I'd seen so far, like I had to make a read, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and do this. And it turned out to be pretty much like academic, because I spent the rest of the game just trying to fight back. And I think the only reason I managed to come out of that was because when he dropped the Tiger, I was like, okay, I'm going to put down the Druid of the Claw. And basically he's either gotten an Equality Consecrate or something to deal with it, or he's going to have to slam the Tiger into it. And I was sitting on the Wrath. And actually, I had a chance to Wrath a token on the turn he put it down, but then I went ahead and just like hit it with my face, because at this point, like, I'd rather take 1 damage than 5, which is why I just held on to the Wrath. And then I was just able to pretty much muscle through. Honestly, most of David's decks were fairly aggressive, so it was kind of like when he played the early Spirit Wolves against my Druid deck, I was just like, there's no coming back from that, because Druid has decent AoE, but the only thing I'm running is Swipe, and like those things having 3 health, like I knew I was like, okay, when he put those down, I was like, okay, it's gonna have to be my Warrior, and the only situation which even a Warrior does well in is if the axe is equipped, or if I can get like a Core Crown Elite to do the trade, to where basically the Core Crown Elite still lives with 1 health. And that was pretty much what I was banking on when I drew into Warrior, because I had my 3rd deck was Miracle Rogue, and I was like, well, this could just go just as poorly if I don't get the Deadly Poison Blade Flare, so I'll just go with Warrior. But I mean, I like to think right from the beginning he had me pretty much playing on the defensive in all 3 matches. So
No, yeah.
Did you?
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, so I don't know if you watched any of David's matches prior to tonight to see how he played. He has a signature move of the leopard gnome coming out at the start of every game. What's your reaction of the start of every game? Boom, out it pops.
First off, it shows that David really knows what he wants to do. Like, Leopard Gnome is frankly like probably one of the 2 best turn 1 drops as far as like being aggressive, and moreover that he knew what to mulligan for. Like having Leopard Gnome and having it in your opening hand is just like literally best case scenario every single time. Like that's always what you want. And I don't know. Staring down a Leopard Gnome on turn 1 it's nice because it gives you a lot of information about your opponent. Like, if you see the Leopard Gnome, you know that it's a fairly aggressive deck. But at the same time, like, it always, especially if you have the coin, you get put in this weird situation where, like, do I coin to get rid of it with a hero power? Because you can do that, but you want to save the coin for making, like, a big tempo swing, I find. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, you settle for that play, or do you try to get greedy, And I think
that can change the game. I mean, that's a big choice, yeah.
And one time, I think I coined into the Wild Growth to play the Harvest Golem, and that was one of those things where like I really wasn't sure if that was going to pan out, and because if you can get Harvest Golem to stick, he deals with aggro really well, because he can get rid of he can usually get a trade before he dies, and then obviously when he dies he's going to get another trade. But Imani Berserker was a real pain in the ass too. I really hate dealing with Imani Berserker. So like that was pretty much what did me in that 3rd game against the Shaman was just Frostwolf Commander and then the Imani Berserker, and I was like, okay, what am I top decking? And then I saw it wasn't what I top decked like a Chillwind Yeti, and I was like, nope, concede.
I
liked it though. Yeah, I like the plays.
No, it was funny because we were talking. David, what do you prefer? Someone sticking around and letting you beat them, or do you prefer concede? I was saying I prefer concede, because it makes me feel good. What do you think, David? Just curious.
I mean, yeah, I concede, so especially on ladder. I mean, the reason I didn't for the last game is if we're gonna end the whole thing, it's got to a knockout's the most entertaining way, right?
Yeah.
But I honestly I'm kind of okay with anything as long as people aren't spamming emotes.
I had to lay down the threat, and after Gramash, I was like sitting there because you can tell who wins the brawl by who's the last minion in. So I'm watching the minions go in, and I see like one. I'm like, oh god, Ragnaros isn't in yet. Then like Sylvanas, and then or not Sylvanas, but the Air Power Totem, and then Grom came out. I was like, of course Grom would win. He's Grom Hellscream. Why wouldn't he win? Probably you just see like Grom putting like Ragnaros in like a headlock or something. Just like giving him a swirly.
It's probably been coded into the game that should Grom ever be in the brawl, he just wins.
Oh,
I mean, I'd caught a break already with Sylvanas going down and only taking one of my totems, so I can't.
Sylvanas claims she has no time for games, but I disagree. Also, so I had already used both Cruel Taskmasters to basically try to get control of the board, and I'd already used one Whirlwind, so I only had one other Whirlwind to activate Gramash, and I had just saw the first Hex come out, and I was like, okay, I'm going to gamble and say he doesn't have the second hex, because you only have like 2 or 3 cards. And so I was like, I really want to try to like activate this Grom. So then like I slung it into the Argent Squire, and I was like, okay, cool. You know, I didn't see the hex came out. You facelessed it, and I was fine with that because I had an execute in my hand. I was like, okay, cool. And then the healing totem heals it, and then the enrage goes away, which I realized was going to happen. I was like, oh yeah, because he's got to kill the frog to get through. This is going to heal it. And I was like, it was actually worse for me because I had to like use the Cruel Taskmaster to damage it just so I could execute it. So it actually worked out kind of better for you. But at the same time, it was really hilarious to see Grom like just, no, I'm not mad anymore. I got over it.
My face when that happened was like, oh, yeah, I forgot.
You know, it kind of makes sense. The one that like Thrall has. Thrall's like, hey, man, maybe you calm down. He's like, maybe I calm down.
This was a real good RP session because we were talking about even in the early stages of the Paladin, and you had the boar with charge, and you had the minion that comes out, the hero power minion. And I was like, do you use the pawn to go out there and deal with it, or do you keep do you use the boar, or do you use the minion? And Adam was saying he would actually use the boar, get out of the way, so he can keep thematic and keep RPing in his head the whole time and have a paladin, true paladin deck. You know, what's a boar doing on there? You feast on it.
Yeah, that's actually a lot of the motivation behind most of my decisions. You know, that's why I decided Grom was going to win the brawl.
Yeah. Too funny. I don't think I have any other questions for you guys. Can you think of any other questions, Will?
No, I was thoroughly entertained. This was thank you. First of all, thank you, David, for putting on a fantastic show over the last 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. And it went from the first week being, going down to that 5th game. It could have gone either way. There's no way to tell whether you and Ro were going to do it. Last week, your shaman just dominated. It was quite frightening, and I didn't want to meet your shaman in a dark alley by any chance. And then it was announced that Robert was coming on the show, at which point I didn't want to meet either your shaman or Robert in a dark alley. And should you guys ever get together and sort of form the Avengers of Warcraft, we've got trouble going on. And no, it was a fantastic game tonight. Thank you, Robert, though. It was great to see not only our first legendary be played in this series, but multiple legendaries come out and just seeing them sort of sitting in your hand there. It was fantastic. It was great. So thank you both so much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thanks to David. David, you honestly, you were a great opponent. It was a lot of fun.
Oh, thanks, Robert. Again, it was a pleasure playing with you. And Adam and Will, it's been also a pleasure spending the last 3 weeks with you guys. It's been a lot of fun.
And don't worry, we're gonna pull you back at some point, David. You can't get away from us. So
I'll consult my crazed alchemist to see if there's anything I can come up with a new deck.
Okay, sounds good.
I believe that Ro wanted a rematch.
Yes.
Rumors.
There will be a rematch at some point. I'm sure Ro will want his revenge. Now, Robert, we did talk ahead of time. Do you think you're going to be able to make it next week where we have another challenger?
Yeah, I should be around. Yep.
Sounds good. So next week we're going to kind of send somebody else after you. And then the third week, if you could make it, then that's where you actually get the chance to be our champion. Which means I actually have to go start sending out emails to say we need someone who's like a big challenge, because that's kind of what I did with David. Not gonna lie,
it worked.
It worked.
There's that. Well, what was that line in like the Star Wars remake? There's always a bigger fish.
Yep.
Like you guys will bring in Trump just to like kick the shit out of me. Like no, Trump, no.
Well, we can't bring too big of a fish now because we needed someone who can beat him. So I don't know. It's gonna be tough. So, but we'll have fun doing it. So again, I want to thank you guys both for coming. I want to thank everybody that came to the live recording. We'll have this up in no time. And next week, same time, same channel, Saturday Night Showdown on twitch.tv/World of Podcasts at 11 Eastern Time. Have a great night, everyone. We will see you around.
Thanks, guys.
Goodbye.
Good stuff, guys. Absolutely.